Again, thank you everyone for coming on to our webinar, the 5 manufacturing trends of 2021. So we'll get going on this. So we're going to be focusing on supply chain production / operations. This is what we've noticed in the past 6 months, where these are the departments that we've focused a lot on, that we've been helping out in the past 6 months, and what we foresee are going to continue to we're going to be continuing helping on and partnering with in the near future. So let's start off. I'm going to start off with the sales model. And why the sales model? Yes, I'm in sales. My name is Roberto Nacarado. I am the sales and marketing manager, and some of my colleagues here as well are in sales. But most of you out there that are joining us are doing business with a person from the sales representative side. So and the trend is changing, or the model is changing. And let me explain. And it's important that I started off with this. If we rewind back about 20 years ago, the sales rep was there mostly to inform on product, very product driven. And customers were dependent on the sales rep to provide information for that specific product, which was fine. The power of the internet was not what it is today. If you fast forward a couple of years, the model evolved and sales rep became a solutions provider, which again, their goal was to improve on business results that were defined by the customer. So again, we're experts on the products, but more driven on the business results that the customers were asking them to provide. If you fast forward now, where it's going is that sales representative has now will become a trusted advisor. And why a trusted advisor? The challenge here, or what the trusted advisor is here to do, is to challenge you on issues that they have come across, share insights, and look for your blind spots. That's the objective of the trusted advisor moving forward. So that's the model that we're hoping to see many companies kind of go towards, and kind of stay away from the sales rep side of things. Okay. I want to be clear that we're not bringing you anything that's new in terms of trends today. We're not futurists over here. However, what we've experienced in the past 6 months due to COVID, and what we're seeing is that we're seeing mostly re-emerging trends, again, due to COVID. So this is what we want to bring to light. We want to share what we've experienced in the past 6 months. So companies that survived in the past 6 months, or since last March, were companies that were able to pivot, adapt, and reach out to their supply chain partners. And they reached out not only to provide a product, but it was so that the supply chain partner added value to their service. Okay, that their supply chain partner was there so that their products are there to help you do business better. Okay. COVID has changed the market. It doesn't matter what market you're in, COVID has changed it. And it has changed it to become highly competitive and highly customizable. So what does that mean for you, the customer? Is that your expectation should have changed, or should be changing. And what should your expectation be? Is that your supply chain partner adds value within your operations. That's the whole point of your supply chain partner. If we're going to use a partner tag, it's to add value within your operation. It's not the actual product, but how is that product going to help you do business better? So we're going to start off with supply chain. That's our first topic. And we look at supply chain transparency a little bit differently than certain thought leaders, but we look at more on the practical side. And what we're going to talk about on the supply chain side are forecast, ERP, warehousing, and minimum order quantity. So let's start off with forecasts and ERP. So most companies know what their 30, 60, and 90 days outlook will be. Some know even further down the line, which is great. Most companies don't share it, not because they can't or they don't, it's because their partners can't do anything with it. It's great to have a forecast, but if you can't insert it within an ERP, then it stays manual and it stays non-efficient, basically. And an ERP is there to connect the logistics, the accounting, the production, and the warehousing, but it should also connect to your customer. And not necessarily that there are some technology out there that the customer can take a look live in terms of what's going on with their supplier, but in the minimum format that the customer should be able to share and create clarity as to what's going on within their production with their supply chain partner. So I just wanted to give you an example. This is something that we have over here. We use Microsoft Dynamics Nav. This is just one part right now that you see over here. I don't know if it's, I apologize if it's a bit small, but what we have over here is you see the part number, which is a kit, and you see January all the way through June with the amount of kits that are required for those specific months. And what helps us over here is we have a vision now in terms all the way up until June. And this gives us a near 100% on-time delivery because we're able to manage our raw material and our labor hours in conjunction with the forecast that the customer has provided. I also want to share, again, the other advantage of providing a forecast with the supplier is that we're able to go through and do parts planning. And we're able to implement EOQ, which is the economic order quantity. Yes, what you're seeing here is one product, and what you're seeing is that, you know, the reorder point is at 700 and we have to order 7,000 units. But imagine if you're managing a large number of SKUs, like hundreds of SKUs. We have customers that buy close to 200 parts from us on a consistent basis. So imagine managing all that without any clarity. And Justin, if you want to launch, we have some polls that we want to, we have 3 polls throughout the presentation that we're going to launch. Please answer. So Justin, if you can launch the first poll. I don't know if it's working.
I'm just looking for it now. I don't see it on my side.
Maybe it's on my side. All right, I'll start off over here, Justin. All right, and we're gonna launch the poll. I don't know if everyone sees the poll. So what percentage of vendors are looking to reduce the number of SKUs in our product portfolio? So go ahead and answer. We'll give you guys 30 seconds to a minute, and then we'll review the results on that. Well, we're even right now with the answers. This is interesting. This is interesting. All right, 50% of us have voted so far. We're almost done. We're at 70%, 75%. Everyone voted. Just almost done. If there's some glitches, we'll get through them. Give it a couple more seconds. All right, we'll close the polls off, so we'll share the answer. Let's share the results. All right, so what percentage of vendors are looking to reduce the number of SKUs in their product portfolio? So the majority of everyone answered, 42% of the people answered 30%, and that's the right answer. So 30% of companies that are looking to reduce the number of SKUs. So again, can your supply chain partner help you through that and reduce that? Or do I have quite a few one product supply chain partners or suppliers that only manage, we're only supplying us with one product? How can we consolidate that with other vendors? And absolutely, we have a buyer on our side that manages quite a few vendors, and if we can consolidate, it makes their lives easier, obviously, because, and that's, again, these are wasted times, inefficiencies by managing multiple vendors. So how can we reduce that? So awesome, thank you very much for the participation. We have 2 more on that to go. So we'll continue with our presentation. Let's talk about warehousing. So just in time can still be done. I know last year there was a lot of companies that were that got impacted. It's normal, everyone did, but companies are actually looking for reshoring, localizing, or nearshoring, depends how which you want to, how you want to call it, but it all comes down to cash flow. Why should you tie your cash flow for products, so it's like for 6 months worth of products? What if you want to expand your production facility? What if lead time is issues in ordering overseas? Why should you be stuck ordering multiple or a large number of products and then you warehousing it for? So I'm going to launch another poll over here that we have. We'll go over here. So what percentage, we're launching it now, what percentage of companies are looking to nearshore their raw material? So let's see, we have the answer here. Let's look what the votes are coming in. We're at 40%. Ooh, some answers are, I think I threw a curveball in there in the answers. We're at 50% voted. We'll continue in for another 30 seconds, get all the votes in. It's coming close. We're at 64%. Another 20 seconds. All right, we're gonna close it off in about 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, and 1. So we'll close the polls off. We'll share the results. So what percentage of companies are looking to nearshore their raw material? A lot of you guessed the 80%. The actual answer is 40% of companies are looking to reshore or nearshore their raw material. Again, but why should it fall onto the customer to warehouse all these materials? Customers, for our point of view, when I say customers, I'm looking for our manufacturing partners that we partner up with. Their focus should be to output their final products. It should not be to warehouse material. Again, you're tying up money. It's money that you're paying today, but you're only going to be billing in 6 months from now. By the time all your raw material is sold. So why should you be tying up material? Why should you be filling up your warehouse with raw material instead of looking at improving in efficiencies by either bringing in machinery? What if your expectation or your trend is to output 20% more product and your warehouse is full of stock instead of machinery? So again, take a look at ways of partnering up with a supply chain partner that can warehouse for you. And again, with the visibility of the forecast with an ERP, very easy to make sure that your on-time delivery or your just-in-time delivery can still be done. So we'll hide that. We'll get back into the next one, which is the MOQs. So why should you be stuck with high minimum order quantities? COVID has impacted sellers to increase their MOQs because they want to reduce their own risk. A supply chain partner should not be there to reduce their own risk. A supply chain partner should be there to decrease your risk, not theirs. A partnership is to create a win-win situation, not a lose-win. So again, we saw that, and it's again part of a normal part of the pandemic. A lot of companies went into risk mode. We have to increase, we have to sell more. We can't keep inventory, so they're trying to push their inventory out onto the customer's backs. But why should you be able to do that? You're not agile by doing that. You're not going to be able to pivot if you're heavy on your inventory. We have to be able to help the customer out. We have customers that when dealing with some of our competitors require maybe 10, 20, 30,000 feet of an extrusion, where with us, you can get a coil of 164 feet if you want, no problem, because we warehouse it for you. We have customers that will give us blanket orders and say, hey, I'm looking for 100,000 feet throughout the year, but I need it on a monthly basis. Not a problem. Let us take care of the warehousing, and your expertise should be on building, not warehousing. Okay. We'll move on to the production and operation side. So far, has there been any question? Justin, do you have anything on your side, or anyone before we continue on to the next?
The chat's been pretty quiet on my side.
All right, it's okay. Okay, I'll just give you there was another interesting percentage that I didn't put on there, which was there's a lot of companies that are looking to 53% of companies are looking to dual source their raw materials as well. Again, another strategy that they're looking to do, because to be dependent on one supplier can be tough, but the dual source can be something that they're taking a look at doing, which again, it's not uncommon to hear that, especially more and more within, of course, because of COVID, it kind of fast-tracked this trend. This is not a new trend. Again, we're not bringing new trends. It's re-emerging trends again because of COVID. So let's take a look at the production and operations. And what we want to talk about are the wastes. So what type of wastes are we looking at specifically? We're looking at the waste of defects, waste of motion, waste of waiting, and waste of inventory. So let's start off with the waste of defects. So a defect is a product that is declared unfit for use. And what we see a lot of are scraps that are produced by poorly maintained templates. And I'll give you an example. We deal with thermal acoustic insulation. Now, yes, we can provide the raw material, but where we kind of come in is we're able to cut that product out for you using our water jet cutting machine. Customers, however, do offer or do want to have just the raw material, which comes in rolls or comes in sheets. And what they do is they'll take the majority will take their cardboard template, put it on top of the sheet, and with an X-Acto knife, we'll go ahead and cut around that template. Now, a lot of companies have if it's not broken, why do we fix it? Which is fine, but let's take a look at that example. You're increasing the risk of injury by someone using an X-Acto knife to go around and cut. You're also, what's happening, what we see a lot of, and where the scrap comes in, is as you're cutting around a cardboard template, the X-Acto knife is slowly kind of cutting and reducing the size of that template, because whether you like it or not, the X-Acto knife is cutting even as small or as thin as a 1/32 inch or a 2 millimeter in terms of thickness to go around. You are reducing the size of that. And what happens over time is that template, as you're cutting parts, it is too small to fit onto your application, creating scrap. So again, looking at, it's a defect at the end of the day, it's a scrap that is produced. You cannot use, it's unfit for use. So another thing that we see as well, what we've seen especially in the past 6 months, and where we looked at helping customers, is parts that are assembled or that are installed correctly, which leads to parts breaking and using another part in stock. And it's normal. Installer's installing a gasket, for example, and pulls on the corner breaks because he's pulling on it wrong or he's installing it wrong, and we'll just go into the stock, pick up another gasket and put it on. So what happens over there? Supply chain has to reorder at a lower quantity because they're missing maybe 3 or 4 to finish their builds. What happens there? The price on that to replace those broken parts goes right up. Instead, what we did is we worked with customers to make them understand or train their staff online. Now, obviously with the challenges of COVID-19, how were we able to do that? We were able to make custom-make videos to show them exactly how to install their gasket on their assemblies. Another example that we did as well is that we were able to use part marking, and with the help of a plant manager or the supervisor in that section, we were able to mark the gaskets exactly how it should be installed in the corners, with the help of a video on how to install the parts with an adhesive or with a bulb trim seal that we're able to install on. Again, it's not just about the product, it's where does the product go and how can we help to reduce the inefficiencies that are out there and increase, obviously, your efficiencies. That's the job of a trusted advisor. Waste of motion. So this one's an interesting one. It's an unnecessary movement by people. And maybe, well, Rob, how can my supplier help me on the movement of my people on the floor? Well, pickers move raw material from different points of the warehouse to the production line. Okay, and the example that I can give you here, what we've done, especially in the last 6 months, again, is if their production output has increased, well, or for example, when COVID hit, Well, not many people were allowed in the warehouse. We went down to skeleton staff to make sure that there was the social distancing going on the floor. So how can I make sure that the people that I have on the floor are working on either building products instead of wasting time picking? So I'll give you an example. We have a customer that builds a cab, and we do the acoustic insulation as well as the gaskets and other molded parts in there as well. Now, these parts are installed all in the same place on the production line. So what we did with the help of the operations manager, we were able to understand their need. And what we did is we started kitting these parts. So imagine this kit consisted of 30 insulation parts. In the past, the way we were shipping was each part was being shipped in their separate box. Once it arrived at the customers, it got unloaded off the truck. It took 30 bin spots on the racking, and a picker would go around on a daily basis to go and pick all these different installations and bring them to the production line floor. Instead, by putting everything in a kit, and not only that, we were able also to understand and ask, is there a specific order that these installation parts are installed? And there was. So what we ensured is that not only did we reduce the amount of bin spots on the customer's plant, we were also able to reduce the picker's movement of going around picking these 30 parts, and only to go into one bin spot to pick up whatever they needed for the day. Also, we were able to help improve the installation time because there was no need to stand around and look at which order it goes. I've walked plants where I've seen customers bring these insulation parts they literally lie it down on the floor and have their plans in front of them, and they're kind of, okay, this is the first one that has to go, that's the second one, and there's like 3 or 4 of them trying to figure all this out. By putting them in the right order, there's no guesswork over there. It's done automatically for them. The installers are able to open the box and start right away, reducing their movement, reducing their waste basically on that. Very important. Okay, and what a lot of people don't realize is that by having excess movement, it increases your fatigue. And by increasing your fatigue, well, you increase the risk of human error. Again, we try to reduce as much inefficiencies as possible. Waste of waiting. So waiting for material delivery production lines to shut down. Like, again, what's going on over there, basically what it comes out to are stockouts, okay? The stockouts, not necessarily on the production side, but it's mostly on the operation side. Again, by maybe not having a clear vision or clarity, what happens is maybe you get an increase in a production on a certain part. You need more. The communication doesn't really go down smooth. What happens is that the supplier doesn't have enough to give. You end up with a stockout. What happens over there is that you have parts or assemblies that are waiting in queues with no material to finish them. So basically, you're paying workers just to stand around. And what happens are that if you're going to deliver your parts late, or you're going to deliver your products late, well, you're going to have a decrease in your cash flow. And what do I mean by that, and why? If you ship your parts late, well, you're going to collect late. It's a vicious circle. So instead of shipping at the beginning of June, for example, you might only ship in mid-June. You can only bill 15 days after that. Instead of billing in the 1st of July, you're only billing in the mid-July. But you've paid for all your raw material already. So your cash flow now gets impacted. Very important. Last one is waste of inventory. So waste of inventory and excess of material. And you can see this in 3 ways. So you see it in raw materials. So where are you procuring your raw materials? Is it overseas? Is the lead time too long that you have to overcompensate by ordering more, and you're stuck with this raw material? You'll see it in work in process materials. These are materials that have entered into the transformation stage, are left in limbo because they're missing either certain elements to continue going in the next part of the production line. Or what happens is you decide to increase your finished goods products. You might need 20, let's make 30 of them. But what happens if there's a revision on that and you're stuck with that extra 10, and you're tying up your money in that extra 10? Okay. Now, all this, what we spoke about today, so all the wastes the trends that we see in the supply chain, it all comes down to true costs. And a lot of this is not taken into consideration when you're trying to make a partnership with a vendor. And it's embedded in our heads that we have to look for the lowest costs. And I know there's some companies out there and some of you out there that don't look at it that way, which is great. You look at the overall package. But what I wanted to really stress today was true costs. Everything that we spoke about today impacts, but the impact is not necessarily visible. These are all hidden costs, but they're part of true costs. A part might not necessarily be worth $10, $20, $30. It might be worth more because the way it's being packaged, the way it's being offered by the vendor might not be offered in an efficient way. And before we go, I want to just launch another poll before we're done. Especially recently what's been going on, I want to maybe share this information. Let's just launch the last poll, which it's going off right now. The cost to ship a container from Asia was $1,200 back in 2019 and 2020. What are the costs projected to be in 2021? Let's see what people answer. We're at 50%. We're at 50%. We reached 75%. I'll close it off in about 10 seconds. Make sure anyone else wants to vote. And close off in 5 seconds. And there we go. Let's share the results. So the cost to ship a container from Asia was $1,200. What are the costs projected to be in 2021? The majority have chosen $2,500. The actual answer is D, it's $6,000. $6,000 to ship a container to come in. So again, if you look at your supply chain partner or yourself, are you purchasing one part? Are you purchasing multiple parts? Is your supply chain partner purchasing multiple parts overseas? And this is, I use Asia as an example, but don't forget there's companies that we do business with within Europe that we ship in as well. Again, the costs have gone up. It's gone up everywhere. So if you have to choose a supply chain partner that has multiple containers coming in with multiple parts, it could definitely yield a lower cost on a in terms of the landed in costs coming in because it's being spread on multiple items. Again, part of the true cost that I wanted to stress again today. So with that, any questions? I'll make sure that I'll unmute all. If you have any questions, you can unmute on your computer and just ask questions. Hopefully we can answer them. So anyone, will open it up. No questions. That's okay. If so, with that, we'll end it here. If you have any questions for myself or for anyone, we did have our trusted advisors here on board that are listening, and we'll be sending you an email to thank you. I'll be sending an email as well. You can engage me, you can engage them in any of the conversations we spoke about today. I really appreciate your time and patience, and looking forward for the next one. And thank you very much. Have a good one.